so much comfortability in that, and the structure breaks down.
Yes, Mbappe indeed. Hey, didn't quite finish, did not convert, did not get the championship, but boy, oh boy, did he have himself a tournament. Good morning, everybody. I'm your host, Rizwan, bringing to you the Sports Spotlight, just like every Sunday, starting at 10 a.m. Central Time, going on until noon. Every Sunday. All right, it is time, and we are gonna get rolling in a minute. My buddy Manny from Kansas City is gonna be joining me, and we're gonna be breaking down all that transpired, everything that happened. Now I'm starting to wonder if we're having problems with our phone lines because he's usually pretty prompt. Hasn't called in yet, but hopefully we are not having issues with our phone lines here. Let's see if there is a. We'll figure it out. Maybe we'll get him going if there are phone line problems. We'll get him going on the WhatsApp line. Am I gonna have to struggle with this?
This tournament so far, and look at the green space he was able to run into. Julian Quinones.
Yeah, let's do this.
Mexican magnificence.
We are going to.
For his third goal at this World Cup.
Well, it's to perfection. The timing of the run is perfect, and the finish is to match.
All right. Well, we'll see if Manny's going to be joining us. All right. We are going to get rolling, friends. Let's talk about, first and foremost, let's talk about the demolition. The demolition that took place last Sunday after we parted ways, right? We sat here, we pontificated, we analyzed, we talked about everything that we expected, all that we expected to transpire. And boy, oh boy, I gotta say, it pretty much played out the way we predicted right here on the Sports Spotlight. 1-0 Spanish victory. Yup, called it. A 0-0, a 0-0. If we're talking in soccer terms, a 0-0 tie at the end of regulation, called it. Spain winning, called it. The only thing I think, if I remember, my prediction was 1-0 in penalty kicks. So I did predict that it would, even in the extra time, the extra time would still be 0-0. It would go to penalty kicks. And honestly, I think Argentina was actually hoping that it would go there. They were trying very hard before giving up that goal to Spain. They were trying very, very hard to try to get through. Once they gave up the goal, they were trying to break through, trying to score the equalizer. But before that, I think they were kind of playing for a tie at the end of the extra time so that they could get to those penalty kicks. And they might have had the advantage there. But boy, oh boy, Spain, the young Spaniards had other ideas. They came through. First off, they absolutely locked down Messi and the Argentinian attack. Remember, we've talked about they've got Messi, but Messi is not all they have. Look, he's one of the all-time greats. One of the, as we went through, top 4 players of all time, maybe top 3 players of all time. There's certainly an argument to be had. Like, they'd be wrong, but I'd be willing to have a discussion with some youngsters who want to say he is the greatest of all time. He's that good. He's been that good. But how the Spanish defense was able to just shut him down was surprising. Still, still looking for Manny. You know, if you want to discuss soccer, let's see if I've got anything else happening here. Nope. All right. Sorry about that, friends. Had plans didn't work out. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes we gotta move forward. So, Manny, if you're having troubles, just contact me. If there's equipment malfunction, if you didn't get around to it, hope you're doing well. Call when you can. We are gonna move along. So, as I was saying, so big victory by the young Spanish team. Here's what I want to talk about, and once Manny gets in, I'm going to want his deep analysis. But how good was this defensive squad from Spain? Now think about it. They won the finals 1-0. Before that, they won the semifinals 2-0. Before that, they won the quarterfinals 2-1. Whoa, they gave up a goal? They gave up a goal. And a goal is all they gave up in the whole World Cup. The whole World Cup. They gave up a single solitary goal. That's pretty impressive, right? If you think about it. If you're wondering, and of course, you know, curious minds wonder. If you're wondering where this defensive performance by Spain stands at the all-time level, I mean, you're wondering, right? It's the greatest ever in the history of a winning World Cup squad. Of course. There have been teams who gave that up before but didn't win. You know, if you lose 1-0 your first game, you only gave up one goal, but you also didn't score any. But for a World Cup winning team, the previous record was 2 goals. So they set an all-time World Cup record. 1 goal given up in the whole World Cup while taking home the trophy. That's pretty impressive. Now, that would be pretty impressive in and of itself. But if you think about it, if you consider, right, consider what they went through, it makes it that much more impressive.
That's what we said. Get it to him and get out the way. Let him go create. So one thing on his mind. What a fabulous finish. I think Suzuki thinks
here we go. All right. Just the fact that the teams that they were able to hold on.
He's only just come on. He scored an absolute stunner.
Here we are.
Senegal's World Cup hopes. Now talk about instant impact. Talk about substitutions having an effect on the game. Going and
all right. So this is what they went through. Forget about the group stage, right? Group stage is the group stage. Once they got here into the knockout round of 32, they played Austria in the round of 32. And they beat them 3-0. Right? It's Austria. You think I mean, at this point, nobody really thought. People were still talking about. People were talking about in the round of 16, they may not get past Portugal, right? But certainly over on this side of the bracket, everybody had. I mean, it was a foregone conclusion that France was going to be advanced, and we here, back then, right here at the Sports Spotlight, we weren't giving Spain enough credit. Were they completely invisible? No, not at all. Right? Not at all. But we didn't think they were serious contenders. Even after the demolition of Austria, after they won 3-0, we didn't think they were serious contenders. Right? Would they get past Portugal? Would they get past Belgium or the US? Yeah, they looked good. But nobody, like, it just, if they got past all that, right? If they got past all that, did we really, really think that they would get past France in the semifinals? Not at all. Not at all. Right? This wasn't on anyone's bingo card before the World Cup. Probably not even. I'd be really impressed. Really impressed. Look, we're gonna get into the prediction side of things in a minute, right? But if somebody before the World Cup started, if somebody had said that Spain was going to win with an all-time defensive performance, setting a record for an all-time defensive performance in the Soccer World Cup, I would have laughed at them. Right? I would have laughed at them. Were they coming in as a good team? Yeah. Were they coming in as a strong defensive front? Yeah. But they were also coming in with a lot of youth, a lot of questions. Boy, they answered all those questions. They absolutely answered all those questions during the course of this World Cup. So yeah, I mean, I would love to hear from anybody who thought before the World Cup, who thought that Spain was going to win this World Cup and have an all-time defensive performance. I don't believe that person exists. So let's get into the prediction thing a little bit. Look, our job here is to provide you the best possible analysis of sports right here at the Sports Spotlight. Brought to you by Radio Azad, where your voice matters. Radio Azad, radioazad.us, and of course, right here in the DFW area, 107.9 FM, HD4. So our job is to bring you the best possible analysis of all sports. For the past month, there was nothing bigger in the sports world than the FIFA World Cup. So yeah, we've been leading with this story, and boy, oh boy, we've been giving you our analysis step by step, and by and large, it's been pretty spot on. Look, did I say Spain was going to beat France in that semifinal? No. Did I say sorry. Did I say that France was going to have their hands full? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Call that. Right? I said it was going to be a defensive struggle. I said France would eke by, as it turned out. What Spain did, absolutely shutting down the French attack in that 2-0, 2-0 victory in the semifinals, was a surprise. but the overall analysis of what they were going to do, how they were going to do it,
Punching it into his own goal.
Eh.
Well hit, though.
pretty close. So, anyway, come back to the finals prediction. Yes, yours truly, right here on the Sports Spotlight, predicted a 1-0 victory by Spain after
Some response
regulation
from
time.
France.
Again, on
Penalty
the
kicks.
heart of it,
They got it done with about a minute and a half left in extra time, 2 minutes left in the extra time when they scored. But hey, score is right. So at that point,
over the outstretched arm.
forget, I haven't even calculated the odds. I haven't looked at it. If somebody had come in
This game really came to life
before
in the last few
before the World Cup started and said the finals would be Spain over Argentina 1-0
Soviet Republic, other than Russia,
in extra time,
World Cup, one of
phew,
all teams making their power at the
I don't know
tournament.
what the books would have paid for that.
Sensational!
But I was curious. The prediction that I provided, or very close to
Looks like it's a
the prediction that I
miss.
provided,
Just a touch through. Shomurodov does exactly what he
had
has
somebody,
to do,
you
score
look,
goals,
here at the
and
Sports
he takes
Spotlight, you know, Shep
advantage.
often says,
Cassie getting
this is
caught
why I
between
don't
two
gamble
girls. He
on
steps off
sports.
his line, comes out 4 or 5
We're not
yards,
advocating gambling on sports, but if one were to be so inclined,
such a well-placed
if
touch.
one were
It
to
was
be so
far from
inclined
Upperby. This is so
and
difficult
had
to do,
placed
but
a
just
bet
class.
on this
There's
FIFA
class
finals,
there.
Noosa in a little bit of space.
before the final match took place, right? Do you know what a
Patient, they get the ball wide. I said, give it to good players in wide areas. He shifts inside with his right foot, and he just.
I think
Look at the body shape. Dipping in, swerving into that far corner. What a wonderful
$10
technique, ability,
bet,
and focus. Look at the focus on the ball.
A
He's always
$10
moving away.
bet.
He knows it's in. As soon as
right?
he's curved,
Pocket
he
change,
knows
right?
he's running
You go
away.
out, you spend more than that on a burger and fries.
Advantage here.
A $10 bet
Into the box. Cut off.
before the final match, Spain beating Argentina 1-0 in extra time. $10 bet would have paid you $500 plus your winnings, roughly based on the book, sports book that you go to. $100 bet, $5 to $6 grand. $1,000 bet, 50 to 60 grand. Whew. Yeah. So look, for those of you who are so inclined, who do partake, who do participate,
It's only half a game so far.
I hope that our prediction was in some way instrumental, helpful,
What about the hit?
played a part in your winning big. If not, just as a fan of the sport, fan of sports in general, I hope that our prediction was able to help you,
Grabbing the ball at the top of the 18 and dancing across the
whether it's
entirety of the
being
midfield.
able to share that analysis amongst your circle of friends,
He's able to look
and having
up,
the game turn
puts
out
the ball
just
again
about exactly
where he wants it. He
that way.
drives this one home.
Hope we were helpful in that.
That Abinada can do about this one.
That's the type of analysis you can always
Begovic.
expect right here on the Sports Spotlight. So now, yes, this was one of the strongest defensive performances in the World Cup history. And the numbers bear it out, right? The numbers bear it out. As I said, the previous record was 2 goals scored by a champion, 2 goals given up by a champion. And Spain cut that in half, gave up only the one solitary goal that they did. to Belgium when they beat them 2-1 in the quarterfinals.
Enough power, enough pace. Nothing Shamarkin goal can do to deny.
Because I know we just kind of touched on it, but in the round of 16, after beating Austria 3-0, they were locked in a defensive struggle in the round of 16 against Portugal. But they came through 1-0. Look, in this World Cup, and I think this is going to continue. We'll talk about that in a minute. In this World Cup, after the group stage, and really during the group stage is when we realized, when the sports world realized what a special defensive group this Spanish team was. But definitely by the time the knockout round commenced, we knew once they got a score under their belt, their opposition was in trouble. So yes, they beat Portugal 1-0 in the round of 16, but it wasn't necessarily that close once they got that goal under their belt. So yeah, they beat Portugal 1-0, and then they came up against the Belgium team that was just coming off of unfortunately a demolition of the US team in the round of 16. We talked about that ad nauseum over the last couple of weeks, so really last week. So yeah, we're not gonna get into how the Belgians embarrassed the US 4-1. It felt like a 4-0 game. But yeah, losing 4-1. That Belgium team was the only one to score a goal against the Spanish side. But even that one, yeah, Spain won 2-1, but it felt a little bit more of a one-sided game than a 2-1 game would generally feel. And at that point, after that quarterfinal victory over Belgium 2-1, we were starting to take them seriously, but not seriously enough to pick them over France. And I don't believe we were alone. Right? We were right here, Manny, me, Shep. We talked about it. But nobody really thought that that Spain would actually beat France. But beat them they did. 2-0 to get to those finals. So, yeah, all-time defensive teams. And here's the thing, the scary thing for the soccer world, I don't believe this was a flash in the pan. I do not believe that. Why? Because of how young this squad is and how good they are with that youth. Generally, this type of talent that's doing this well at 19 and 20, generally, what do you think? Do they get worse between 20 and 25, or do they get better? These kids have not reached their peak yet. That's the scary thing for the world of soccer. This team is going to get better. These kids are going to get stronger, maybe even faster. I mean, they're 19 and 20, but maybe even faster. A soccer athlete hits their peak in the 23 to 26, 27 age range, those 3 to 4 years. These kids are going to get stronger. These kids are going to get faster. These kids are going to get better. Yeah. That's a scary proposition for the rest of the soccer world. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to break down what this means. We've kind of focused on Spain, but when we come back, we're going to talk about what this means for other teams, the other teams who did not lift the championship trophy at the end of this edition of the FIFA World Cup. You're listening to the Sports Spotlight with your host Rizwan. We'll be right back after a few words from our sponsors.
This is Radio Azad, streaming in Dallas, Fort Worth, and all around the world.
आप सुन रहे